we get into the topic of today's video, I just want to remind everyone, in case you didn't see the video on Monday, that my new collection of short horror stories, A Weighted Soul and Other Dark and Twisted Tales, is currently up for pre-order on Amazon, and I'm doing a pre-order giveaway, so all of those links will be in the description, and in case you missed that video, I will link it in the cards above. Definitely check it out, you do not want to miss out. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the topic of today's video. So I feel like book-to-movie adaptations get a very, very bad rap. There's always going to be people that said the book did it better than the movie, and the movie put the book to shame, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I feel like movie companies have a really, really difficult time trying to put all of these thousands of words into a consumable piece of fiction. I'm not in the movie industry, but I can imagine that it's very difficult trying to choose the most important elements of this book or this series and putting it into a wonderful thing that all types of people can enjoy. I feel like the series that gets the worst rap when it comes to book-to-movie adaptations is Percy Jackson. That pretty much got trashed by everyone, book lovers and film critics alike. It just wasn't good. The second movie tried to combine multiple books at once. It was a hot mess. But I feel like there are some really great book-to-movie adaptations that deserve some more love, so I'm gonna list those off today. Now, I would just like to say that there are a couple of these that I haven't seen, like some really popular ones. For example, Game of Thrones, I haven't read it, haven't seen it, and there's also a ton of hype around this movie on Netflix right now called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I read that book, but I have not had the chance to see the movie yet. I've heard it's very good, and that might have made the list if I had seen it in time, but I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil it for me. But those two are not on this list just because I'm not familiar with them. But without further ado, let's get into the list. First up are the cult classics. I'm gonna group these together because I feel like they you'll see, they kind of fit together. It's Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. Both of these are multi-books in a series, although technically Lord of the Rings is one big book that they split into 3 parts, but that's beside the point. They had awesome casts, they had awesome story building, they had awesome directors, and overall it just really gave new life to the series and made more people interested in the series. I read Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings before I watched the movies, but the movies I feel like enhanced the books, and it just, like I said, brought new life to the series. Now, there are some things that they might have changed slightly. So for example, I was just reading an Instagram post the other day about how they were annoyed that Hermione's dress in the U-Ball was pink instead of blue in the movie. So there are changes that they made, but overall I think they did a solid job encompassing the feel and the energy that the book series had. Number 2 is one of my favorite books of all time. It's called The Martian. You may have heard of it. It is written by the incredible Andy Weir. I have literally 4 copies of that book in this house, including a signed copy. I made a video a while ago explaining how I actually emailed the author of this book when I was in 7th grade to thank him for his inspiration. I will leave that video up there because it's a wild story, so be sure to check it out. So if you haven't read the book has so much profanity, but you know, it's kind of understandable. The guy is stranded on Mars. He's allowed to curse, okay? The interesting thing, and the thing I was concerned about when I first saw that they were doing this in the movie, is the movie was actually PG-13. And I was thinking to myself, how could they possibly put this character, Mark Watney, into this movie and not have him curse every 3 seconds? Like, it didn't make sense. But they actually had some really creative ways to show that he was cursing without actually, like, docking it as a curse. They had one F-bomb in the movie and they literally used it in like the first scene. There's some other times where you see him mouthing the curses, or they're just like implied, or there's like some cuts, so you know that he's cursing, but it's not there. But overall, I loved the movie as like a fanatic of the book. I still know the book inside out, but I read it like 4 times in preparation for the movie release. I was so hyped, my school friends will tell you. But I loved the movie. I think Matt Damon did a really good job, and it's just awesome. Even if you haven't read the book, I recommend watching the movie. If you did watch the movie and you enjoyed it, literally read the first page of the book and I promise you, you will be hooked. Number 3, I actually have a pretty lesser known book movie duo. It's called The Woman in Black. Now, you may know this about me, but I love spooky things, as, you know, a weighted soul. That stuff's going on. But The Woman in Black is actually a really cool movie. It stars Daniel Radcliffe, and it's like a classic spooky story. There's this house surrounded by this lake, and as the tide comes in and out, you can get to and from the house. And Daniel Radcliffe's character finds himself at the house by himself, and it's super creepy. It actually is a really great story, but the book was really slow. And here's the thing, I do not mind slow burn books at all. It's totally fine, but I tried reading The Woman in Black and I just didn't like it. It was very convoluted and I couldn't really follow the distinct story, and it was just very difficult, which again, not every book is for everyone, but overall just wasn't my cup of tea. And I think the movie did a really great way of enhancing the horror elements and kind of bringing it to life. It's really artistic the way it's done. There's a lot of muted colors, kind of like The Lighthouse, except it wasn't filmed in like total black and white. The Lighthouse is a movie that came out recently from the company A24, but overall it was just a really great movie. So loved the movie, not a fan of the book, is what it is. Next up we have The Shining. Now I haven't actually read The Shining from start to finish. I've read bits and pieces of it and kind of looked over it, but I'm not gonna lie, the book is kind of intimidating. But I think everyone can agree that the movie is a classic. Now I will say that the book and the movie feel like two different pieces of art. It has the same elements to it. It has like the whole Shining thing, because that's the, you know, the main premise. But I've heard that Stephen King actually didn't like the movie because it changed the book so much. But the movie was so well done. It was clear that the people who were putting it together appreciated the book, but they just kind of twisted some of the ways that the story was portrayed. And I think it ended up working for the best. I absolutely love the movie. I actually have the classic picture at the very end where, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a very famous picture in it. That's currently in my house. And it's just super cool. And overall, even though Stephen King didn't really like it, I actually think it's a pretty good adaptation, and it brings something new to the story. It isn't just a carbon copy of the book to the movie screen. It brings something new to it, which I feel like all book to movie adaptations should attempt to do in some way while keeping with the integrity of the story. Last but not least, we have another one of my favorites, Coraline. I read Coraline when I was like in 4th grade, and I loved it. Super creepy, super cool, and I think stop motion animation actually serves this story very well. It is technically a children's book, even though it's really creepy and the story is totally out there, but it just, oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's so artistically riveting, it's so interesting, it's overall just very cool. And the story was great, and I actually think that the movie did a great job of taking that story and transferring it onto screen. And like I said before, the stop motion animation allowed some new elements to be brought into it, and it really added a lot to it visually. Super cool. Even though it's technically a kids movie, if you love Halloween, I highly recommend it. It's not super long, but it's scary, okay? I have friends that are still scared to watch Coraline because it scarred them as children. So yeah, definitely check out Coraline. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. I love all of these movies very dearly, so definitely check out some of the spooky ones if you're in the Halloween mood. Are there any other book to movie adaptations that did either a really great job or a really bad job? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. Thank you for stopping by. Bye!